Good evening, everyone. I'm Councillor Laura Binks, Mayor of Strathbogie Shire Council. I would like to welcome you to this council meeting of Tuesday, 15th of August 2023, being held at the Aroa Community Conference Centre. Are you right, Councillor Rayburn? Councillors, we've had some good governance sessions over the past some good sessions over the past few months around respectful behaviour and ways of working, which we will be formally adopting this evening. I remind you that we need to demonstrate respectful behaviours, and I hope I can count on you all to do so. I ask that you please keep this in the forefront of your mind during our meeting. In the end, if we don't show respectful behaviours, it is only a reflection on us personally, which we've shown to everyone present here at our meeting and joining us online. We'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the places we live, work and play. We recognise and respect the enduring relationship that they have with their lands and waters, and we pay respects to elders past, present and future. Today, we are meeting on the lands of the Tangarang people of the Eastern Kulin Nation, whose sovereignty here has never been ceded. This public meeting is being streamed live via our website and made available for public access on our website, along with the official minutes of this meeting. All care is taken to maintain your privacy. However, as a visitor in the public gallery, it is assumed that your consent is given in the event that your image is broadcast to the public. It is also assumed that your consent is given to the use and disclosure of any information that you share at the meeting, including personal and sensitive information, to any person who accesses those recordings or minutes. Council considers that the recommendations contained in this agenda gives effect to the overarching governance principles stated in Section 9(2) of the Local Government Act 2020. These principles are numbered on pages 1 to 9 on page 2 of the agenda. We welcome people to our public gallery and those viewing this meeting through our live stream via our website. This meeting is being held in accordance with Strathbogie Shire's governance rules. If we have technical difficulties during tonight's meeting, which means we are unable to continue streaming the proceedings to the public, we will continue with the meeting given that the public gallery is open. Voting by councillors at tonight's meeting will be held by a show of hands. If a councillor or an officer has a conflict of interest in a matter, they'll be asked to leave the meeting and no discussion of the matter will commence until we are sure that they have done so. The person will then be contacted to rejoin the meeting after the matter has been considered and the vote concluded. CEO Solomon, are there any apologies this evening?
Yes, thank you through you, Mayor. We have 3 apologies for this evening's meeting. We have one from Councillor Reg Dickinson. We have one from the Director of Sustainable Infrastructure, Vlad Adamek, and one from the Executive Manager, Communications and Engagement, Kristen Favaloro. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO Solomon. Councillors and officers, are there any disclosures of conflicts of interest to be made under Rule 94 of our Governance Rules and Division 2 of the Local Government Act 2020? No. Great. Councillors, the minutes and decisions of the ordinary meeting held on the 18th of July 2023 require confirmation. Can I have a motion, please, and can you state what your motion is? Councillor Rayburn.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you, I'd like to move that the council meetings minutes be moved and seconded. Thanks.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Murray. Thank you, Councillor Murray. Can I see a show of hands? All those in favour and against?
I was only sworn in at that particular meeting and therefore I'm not in a position to participate in this vote.
You participated in that meeting? That was the meeting?
I joined the meeting after Do you understand? I'm not.
Can I check with our governance expert? Councillor Weatherald was sworn in at the start of that meeting and then participated in the meeting and voted on the matters of the night. So should he be participating in this vote now?
He was here for the substantial part of the meeting. He missed the initial administration. So I think it would be appropriate for him to vote on the substance.
It would be appropriate?
Yes.
Thank you. So can I call again for a show of hands for all those in favour and against? And I declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. CEO Solomon, do we have any petitions to be tabled this evening?
Thank you. And through you, Mayor, no, there are no petitions this evening.
Thank you, CEO Solomon. Would any councillor like to make a report on your councillor activities in the last month? No? Okay, Councillor Haysbert, sure.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a quick update. I just wanted to highlight some of the various professional development courses that I've attended in the last month, most of which were free and no cost to the ratepayer. I attended a course on understanding finances and council's audited financial statements. I attended the Municipal Association of Victoria's Housing Crisis Forum and one also on the integrity and governance. I also attended a Women's Leadership in Climate Change Forum, and this Friday there's another forum about planning panels and how they will impact local government. I also just want to make a comment about how great the sculpture looks overlooking Burton's Bridge, the Magpie, that we've welcomed to Euroa, and I know it's received lots of great press and community interest. So thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Haysbert. So this month it has been a month of some really great openings, including the one that Councillor Haysbert has just mentioned, the Pitch My Project Euroa Magpie Public Art Unveiling, and a little bit earlier in the month there was the Art Box and Creeman Art Exhibition, which is also in Sevens Creek Park, which is looking pretty great at the moment. Last week I had the absolute pleasure of opening the Avenel Play Space upgrade in Jubilee Park with the community and the kids, and it was lots of fun. I think we will win the prize for the most fun playground opening, and it's really great seeing that facility being used very well on the weekend at the Avenel Market. So it was a really great project and collaborative project between community, the state government and council. And in particular, big congratulations to the project officers for delivery and community engagement practices that supported the $136,000 council project. I'd also like to commend Avenel Primary School captains Camilla Bull and Kobe Sidebottom, who gave a fabulous speech, as well as Anne Douglas, representing the Jubilee Park Committee of Management and Avenel Active Incorporated. And we had a really wonderful welcoming ceremony and welcome to country and smoking ceremony by Tangarang Elder Uncle Shane Monk, and that was a really special occasion, and it was the first experience for lots of the Avenel residents to participate in a smoking ceremony, and was greatly appreciated by the community. Among the new equipment is an all-ability swing, a stepper bridge, fixed hanging rings, scaling walls, wave bridge fiberglass slide that is very fast. I discovered that myself, and an inclined net bridge. But I think the thing that everyone is most excited about is the flying fox. Everyone is super excited about the flying fox. So that was a really great project to see come to fruition. On another note, I encourage community to visit the council website for our latest news updates, including there's bushfire resilience free online workshops that are happening at the moment, and have a look at the development plan for Allura Estate, Lake Ngambie Resort. We understand there will be significant interest in this development plan and are keen to do as much as possible to inform the public of that proposal. So visit Strathbogie to register interest in the Goulburn Region Tourism Partnership and help develop the strategic direction for our region's tourism future. And lastly, that happened today. I'm proud to announce that, oh no, that's something else. Gosh, so many things happening. I'm proud to announce that the Strathbogie Shire Council Climate Change Action Plan is shortlisted in the 2023 Keep Australia Beautiful 2023 energy category finalists. Well done to council officers who have worked to develop and implement this plan, and for gaining local government sector recognition. And also thank you to the community who put together that. There's 10 categories in the Keep Australia Beautiful Victoria Awards, and Violet Town is shortlisted in 7 of those 10 categories, which is a really remarkable achievement. And I'm sure we'll be seeing updates as they go through the judging process. They were inspired by Euroa's win last year, which is really exciting. CEO Solomon, are there any questions? Lee.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to add my my congratulations to Tank and Tobin for their public art installation there at the Sevens Creek Park, and I encourage people to go and have a look at the magnificent public art sort of piece that's at the park. And I thank the officers and grounds and staff and so on for erecting that, and it was a great event that was held on the night. I'd also like to do a shout out as well for Anne Douglas and the Jubilee Park Committee for their terrific work down there at Avenel. And finally, I'd like to foreshadow an event, community conversations event on the 20th of this month down at Avenel, where they're having a conversation about Australia Day and the future and what they would like to see happen. And I encourage those people in Avenel to go along to the Memorial Hall and hear a group of students from Seymour and surrounds to talking about that particular issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. CEO Solomon, are there any questions from the public this evening?
Thank you, Mayor. And through you, yes, we have 6 submitters of questions for tonight's meeting, some who are in the gallery and some who I will read out on their behalf.
Certainly.
Our first question this evening is from Kate Orty and Charlie Bryden, who are unable to be in attendance this evening. They ask, your council mower and/or street tree police have removed and destroyed 4 white cedars and 1 crepe myrtle, which we purchased, planted and nurtured on our nature strip outside 21 to 23 Railway Street. You should note that these street trees were purchased without requesting input from council funding. Neither were you expected to water or stake them. For some reason, 1 crepe myrtle, which was staked in no different fashion than the others, has escaped the scythe. We will be planting trees again in exactly the same place, and we'll be staking them with star pickets. It may be of use for someone to explain why someone was tasked to undertake this exercise of vandalism. This would really cost council money. In addition to requiring council to respond to this substantive complaint of the trees being damaged and removed, kindly be in a position to also advise when the trees numbered 03948, 03949 and 03950 were given a Shire of Strathbogie asset registration number. And in response, thank you for your email about the trees in your nature strip, Kate and Charlie. I have spoken with the Parks and Gardens team about your concerns and confirmed that 1 tree was in fact accidentally run over while mowing. We apologise for this and have asked the team to take more care in the future. We've been assured that the remaining trees you planted were not impacted by the mowing activities nor removed by any council officer. In Strathbogie Shire, our Climate Change Action Plan, Action 28, is to develop a 10-year climate-appropriate street tree planting plan and budget for our townships. This action was not set as a 2022-23 action, but will be completed during the life of the plan. Action 3.1.4 of our council plan is to involve the community in tree planting projects across the Shire. This is a 4-year program which includes community engagement to identify appropriate areas. In April this year, we worked with Uroma Primary School to plant trees in Strathbogie Street, which ensures the completion of this year's actions. Action 3.1.2 of our council plan is to integrate naturally cooler towns into day-to-day operations in partnership with Goulburn Murray Climate Alliance. This action is also complete, and council has adopted a recommended tree planting list from the Naturally Cooler Towns projects, which can be accessed on our website. We've also applied for and received $85,000 in state and regional priority projects grants for cooler canopies for planting urban trees across the Shire to minimise the impacts of the urban heat island impact. We will use this funding to roll out street tree planting from the recommended tree planting list. Tree species used as part of this program are carefully selected to meet specific needs of each planting site. Care is taken to account for established trees, buildings, power lines, driveways, roads, and any other infrastructure that may be impacted. We are really keen to work with you to establish the most appropriate trees for your nature strip. Council officers will be reaching out to you to arrange a time to meet on site so that we can talk about species, planting, and the best way we can work together to achieve our shared goals. In response to your query on the numbering of the street trees, I can advise that these trees were entered into Council's database on the 22nd of May 2017. Thank you for your questions, Kate and Charlie. The second question, they are in attendance. It's from Rob French.
Sure.
Yes.
Would you like to ask your question, to come forward and ask your question, or we can read it out for you, whichever. Yeah, you need to come up to the chair here and activate the microphone. You'll see when the light comes on. Nope, there you go. Or not. Oh, we need it on so the people online can hear us. So look at that. You can take that one away. Thank you. Thanks, Rob.
Rob French, principal of Ngambie Primary School. 2 questions from myself and then my school council presidents here as well. When council realised Transport Department would staff all crossings except Ngambie Primary, what risk assessment and legal advice was used regarding risk to student safety?
You can ask them both, and then we'll respond to them both if you like, or would you prefer?
I'd rather answer for each one.
Sure,
would be better.
Okay, thank you for your question, Rob. In response to your question, Council has not completed a risk assessment at Goulburn Street Crossing, as the decision on where crossings are placed and supervision is required is determined by the Department of Transport and Planning. Council officers are following up with the Department of Transport and Planning as to when the risk assessment was undertaken at this site. Council has sought legal advice and was advised that under the Road Management Act 2004, Council's legislated responsibility is to inspect, maintain and repair the school crossing infrastructure, which includes signage and road markings. Thank you.
I only get to ask questions, don't I? I don't get to comment on the reply. Okay.
That's correct.
My second question, under the Road Management Act, safety on Goulburn Street is the Shire's responsibility. Could you explain how you consider it safe for children to cross without supervision? And seeing the last questions were more than 25 words, I'm currently the crossing supervisor and I almost got hit by a car yesterday setting out to do it. So again, could you explain how you consider it safe for children to cross without supervision?
Thank you for your question, Rob. As I mentioned before, Council's legislated responsibility under the Road Management Act 2004 is to inspect, maintain and repair the school crossing infrastructure, which includes signage and road markings. That is the responsibility under the Act. The school crossing program is a Victorian Government and Department of Transport and Planning responsibility. The Victorian Government is also responsible for setting and funding where supervised crossings are placed, regardless of which authority owns the road. We know the department is managing this service directly on all roads in other municipalities. We're extremely disappointed the Victorian Government and the department are not taking responsibility for the safety of school crossings in the Gambie. We agree with you, the safety of our children and their carers is paramount. Council is committed to continuing to advocate and work with the Department of Planning and Transport and Planning to take responsibility for the delivery of the program. We ask that you join our advocacy efforts by writing to the Minister for Local Government and the Minister for Roads and Road Safety, Melissa Horne, at their parliamentary addresses. Thank you.
I'd like to ask other councillors if they're comfortable with that answer, but am I allowed to do that?
It's not normally the practice of these, that's not the purpose of these questions, but you can certainly contact us afterwards or talk to us after the meeting.
I do that, but people don't reply.
I believe that we have been replying, but
I got a letter today from you.
Yes.
In response to a letter I wrote a month ago.
It wasn't a month ago, Rob. Anyway, we're not here to debate this.
Just as long as councillors are aware of the situation in the Gambie and the danger at the crossing.
Thank you, Rob. Oh, yeah. So the next questions are, the next questions are from Paul Swan of Nagambie, who is also in attendance, and you're going to read out your questions, Paul? Yes. Yep, come forward. Same process up to the microphone. Thank you.
So my name's Paul Swan. I'm the school council president of the Nagambie Primary School and actually have a 8-year-old daughter. So she's in grade 2. While she doesn't necessarily use the crossing each day, because generally we drop her off on the school side of the road. Occasionally we do walk to school as well. So just a question regarding what did it cost to employ school crossing supervisors on the Shire? What was the cost to the Shire across all the crossings? So I believe there was 5 crossings. Okay, so obviously 4 have been picked up by the Department of Transport. So what was the cost, I think? And just going ahead, until we get a resolution from the Department of Transport, would it be, in the interests of child safety to actually that the Shire actually picks up the funding until we get a resolution? Is that something that we could possibly look at?
Thanks for your questions, and I believe the CEO will respond to those.
Thank you for your questions, Paul. In response to your first question, I can advise that in 2022-23, the total cost of the school crossing program was about $82,000. Council received approximately $36,935 from the Department of Planning and Transport and Planning to supervise the 5 crossings across the municipality. The magpie sculpture unveiled in Euroa on Friday was initiated by a joint submission by the Euroa Chamber of Business and Commerce and the Euroa Community Action Group to Council's Pitch My Project initiative.
CEO Solomon, can I just interrupt you? Sorry, there was a second part to your initial submitted question, which you haven't said here, which just makes that part of the question. He just didn't mention the bit about what projects could we consider.
Okay, I can leave that off, and so basically that's the first one, and then I'll answer the second one. That's fine. In response to your second question, Council made the decision at the March 2023 meeting to exit the delivery of the school crossing program. As you know, that was a two-stage process initiated initially in October 2022. We are advocating to the Department of Transport for a resolution to see the supervised Goulburn crossing opening as soon as we can. At this stage, funding in the interim is one of the options that Council is considering, but has yet to make a determination. There are many options to consider, and there are no guarantees until we have had conversations with and clarification from the Department of Transport.
So
and Planning.
It's just, you know, at this point of time, if a child was to be hit, it wouldn't look good on both the council and the Department of Transport and probably the Department of Education in the coroner's court, speaking as to why a child was hit. So just thinking that from a safety point of view and a very much legalities point of view, it's not a good look. So just putting it out there that maybe the council might just consider refunding it until we get a resolution, because just to cut it off and just have nothing is probably not a you know, very good idea sort of thing. So, sorry, my second question, or if the Shire receives the funding from the Transport Department, so if they were to fund it and give you guys the money, will you reinstate it? Or is it you just saying that the Department of Transport needs to run the crossing? Are they the people who have to employ the person, or will the Shire employ the person?
So we're certainly negotiating with the Department of Transport to see if they to test their preparedness to refund the program, and certainly those conversations are ongoing. And so as soon as we have an outcome, we will certainly let the school and the community know.
Yeah. So, well, look, I'd just like to say that, you know, please have a heart and think about child safety, because this is what it's about. It's not about, it shouldn't be about money. It should just be about our children's safety. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. And thanks for coming to participate. The next question. Sorry, I've flipped that over.
The next question is from Frank York from Sheens Creek, and I understand, Frank, that you've asked that I read the question on your behalf. Council opens every meeting with the monologue acknowledgement of country, prefaces every council document with the same, and opens every meeting with the same repetitious recitation. Recognising that one of Council's central guiding tenets is inclusiveness, can the councillors provide any reason why this divisive and partisan practice, which by its very wording is not inclusive, should not be discontinued with immediate effect? So thank you for your question, Frank. Council signed a memorandum of understanding with the Tangerang Lands and Waters Council in 2021. Through this extensive community engagement process, 5 acknowledgement to country options were developed and encouraged when conducting proceedings on Tangerang country. These different acknowledgements were submitted by the community, which provided strong support for the MOU and strengthening Council's relationships with our First Nations people. The acknowledgement of country is used at our meetings and in our documents, which is in line with that MOU. It is also in line with our community vision statement, which was written by our community and states, we deeply care for country and First Nations people. Our strategic focus area of our council plan, Engage, Create, Unite, contains the following community goal. In the future, we foster and support creative responses in the community. This means First Nations culture, knowledge and heritage enriches our Shire. Our community, through our council plan, has told us that our First Nations culture and acknowledging this heritage is important and essential to them. Thank you. Our next question, Mayor, is from Broderick Floyd from Euroa, and has requested that his question be read on his behalf. I don't believe Broderick is in attendance. Thank you for your question, Broderick. Businesses on Binney Street were badly affected after they were not informed by council of a parking closure on the 3rd of August. Why did this happen, and what will council do to ensure a similar situation doesn't happen again? Thank you for your question again, Broderick. I would like to start by apologising for this lack of communication. I agree, it's not good enough. And despite our absolute commitment to improving our communications, this has let us down on this occasion. I am not making excuses, but we've worked really hard on this streetscape project for many months through community engagement to establish the designs. Prior to the stage 2 works commencing, that's 6 weeks in advance, we have written and hand-delivered letters to all businesses with proposed schedule of works and timings. We've also used social media, paid advertising in the Euroa Gazette and our website to help spread the information and have held 2 on-site meetings. But we do know we need to improve and have now implemented changes to our internal communications approach, which we hope will stop this happening again. Thank you. And our final question through you, Mayor, is from Darren Chapman, who is in attendance.
Are you going to ask your questions, Darren? Do you want to come forward? Yep. Can you come forward, please? Sorry. If you'd like, would you like to do one then the other?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. If you want to ask your first question and the CEO will answer. Thank you, Darren.
Thanks. We see in tonight's agenda that with the assistance of Andrew Douglas of FCW Lawyers, Council has drafted a statement of intent, a transition plan and another action plan in response to the appointment of Municipal Monitor Peter Stevenson. It seems the purpose of this, at least in part, was to demonstrate to Mr Stevenson that Council is committed to resolving its apparent issues. Why then are councillors only set to sign the statement of intent tonight on the same day Mr Stevenson's term ends, rather than the extraordinary meeting where it was originally to be signed being rescheduled to an earlier date than tonight? It would appear this will not leave Mr Stevenson much time before he delivers his final report to the Minister for Local Government.
Thank you, Darren, for your question. In response, tonight's statement of intent, transition plan and action plan are not just the response to the appointment of the Municipal Monitor, Peter Stevenson. It is the output of many months' work by councillors to determine how they can improve the quality of the representative work they undertake through a lens of collaboration, respect, and ensuring council's employee working environments are safe, respectful, collegiate, and innovative. Our Mayor, Councillor Laura Binks, has certainly not hidden the fact that our council has been challenged. Mr Stevenson's terms of reference are very clear. At the time, our first Municipal Monitor, Janet Dawes' 10-point plan was noted by Council. Our Mayor said at the time it would be disingenuous to make any commitment when much more work was needed. Tonight's work has been completed under the watchful eye of the Monitor, and we are sure it will help provide significant input into his report. Thanks, Darren.
Thanks. Second question on a different topic. St Joseph's School in Nagambie has been informed by the Department of Transport that their crossing supervisor is being phased out and will no longer be in place from the beginning of Term 4. To Council's knowledge, will any other schools in the Shire have their crossing supervisor removed by the Department of Transport from Term 4? And given this situation, have there been any discussions at Council regarding the possibility of re-entering the school crossing supervision program?
Thank you, Darren. And in response to your second question, the Department of Transport and Planning, as we have mentioned earlier, is responsible for setting and funding where supervised crossings are placed, regardless of which authority owns the road. The decision to provide supervision at a crossing is made by the department following the outcomes of their risk assessment. Council is concerned the department's commitment is not ongoing, and we have been seeking more information about timeframes and what this means into the future for all of the schools. We need to be clear, this program is the responsibility of the Victorian Government and the department, and they're responsible for delivering the program and deciding where crossings are situated on their main arterial roads. Thank you.
Can
Thank
I
you.
ask a follow-up question? Or?
No, sorry, you only get two.
All right.
Do that in your journalistic capacity at a later date.
Yes.
Thank you, Darren. Thank you, CEO Solomon. Okay, so we'll now move on to the officers' reports. If anyone in the gallery didn't want to remain, you're welcome to leave at any time. That's not a problem. Thank you for coming if you choose to do so. We're now moving to page 7 of the agenda. Item 11.1.1, planning applications received and planning applications determined 1st to the 31st of July 2023. Director Frampton, may we have a summary of the report, please?
Thank you, Mayor Binks. Consistent with Council's policy on this matter, this report provides listings of all planning applications received in Attachment 1 and all planning applications determined in Attachment 2 for the period of 1 through to 31 July 2023. The latest available planning permit application performance figures are also attached in Attachment 3. It's noted that these figures are for the month of June. It's noted that in this period, there were 13 new planning applications received and 10 planning applications determined during this reporting period. The recommendation is printed on page 7 for Council's consideration.
Thank you, Director Frampton. Councillors, are there any questions or clarification of the officer regarding this item? No? If not, councillors, can I have a motion, please, and can you state what your motion is? Councillor Haysbert.
Could I please move the motion on page 7 of the agenda?
Thank you, Councillor Haysbert. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Murray. Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. Do you wish to speak to the motion? No. Does any councillor wish to speak to the motion? If not, councillors, I'll put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands? All those in favour, please. And against? And declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. We now move to page 9 of the agenda, item 11.2.1, Ruffy Action Group Funding 2022 to 2023. Director Frampton, may we have a summary of the report, please?
Thank you. In 2022-23, Council supported community action groups in various ways, including the provision of a dedicated community action group program fund. A total budget allocation of $81,000 was allocated in the previous financial year, and at the September 2022 Council meeting, Council approved the allocation of funds to 4 out of the 8 community action groups. As the program was undersubscribed, Council also resolved to reopen the funding program on the 1st of October 2022 for community action groups who did not apply, with the fund remaining open until the funds were exhausted, enabling council officers to work with these community action groups who missed out to identify and submit projects that meet the funding guidelines for consideration of council. Ruffy Community Action Group did not apply in the initial round, and they applied to council in late May 2023 to install power and weatherproof and secure a small shed. This will protect a community generator located at the Tablelands Community Centre that powers a bore pump, providing a benefit to several important community facilities, including the community centre, the Ruffy Hall and the Ruffy CFA. Having received the application in the year 22-23, the application has been assessed against the previous community action funding and assessment process. Officers have found the application to be eligible, and the recommendation can be found on page 9 for council's consideration.
Thank you, Director Frampton. Councillors, are there any questions of clarification regarding this item from the officer? If not, councillors, can I have a motion, please, and can you state your motion? Councillor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. Can I move the motion as listed on page 9 of the agenda?
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Rayburn. Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. Got your name right that time. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Murray?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to thank the Ruffy Action Group for the application. Action groups form a integral part of our engagement process in small towns throughout the Shire. And I thank all of those volunteers who contribute towards the effective running of action groups and for their dedication and their effort, over the last few years. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Councillor Rayburn, would you like to speak? Would any other councillor like to speak to the item? No? Okay, councillors, I'll put the item to a vote. Can I see a show of hands for all those in favour and against? And I declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. I now move to page 14 of the agenda, item 11.2.2, event grant applications received. Director Frampton, may we have a summary of the report, please?
Thank you, Mayor Binks. Council adopted a community funding model at the June 2023 council meeting. This model set out the strategic direction and associated guideline for the distribution of community funding for council. Event grants provide grants of up to $5,000 to eligible organisations and associations for events that align with the objectives of the Council Plan 21-25, submitted in line with the guidelines. Council has received 2 event grant applications for consideration, the first being from the Strathbogie History Group under the auspice of the Strathbogie Tablelands Action Group Incorporated, who applied for some funding to support the delivery of the Strathbogie Cup Festival weekend. And the second was an application from Cranksters Rod and Custom Club Incorporated to support the delivery of the Cranksters Cruise in Nagambie in 2023 to be held in September. Both events will result in several significant social and economic benefits to our community and will be delivered in line with Council's events and regulatory policies and procedures. Council has a total budget allocation of $50,000 that was adopted in the operating budget. Applications have been submitted in line with the event grant guidelines that were adopted and have been determined eligible. They went through a relevant assessment process and the applications are ready for Council's consideration. You will find the recommendations starting on page 14 for your consideration.
Thank you, Director Frampton. Councillors, are there any questions of clarification regarding this item of the officer? No? Yes, Councillor Weatherald.
Perhaps I should direct a question about an item that appears under Cranksters Cruise Nagambie for parking, ticketing and volunteers, $9,600. Move up the page and we go to Strathbogie Cup Festival weekend, proposed in-kind labour, $9,600. Same column, expenditure, different wording, but the figure is exactly the same. You couldn't get a more interesting.
Is this are you just making a comment, Councillor Weatherald, or are you asking?
I'm asking.
Question of clarification.
How can those 2 items be exactly the same?
Thank you, Councillor Weatherald. The 2 relevant groups who put the applications in supply their budgets. This is just so that we can identify what the funds that are being applied for are being used for and allocated against. So I think you'll find that Cranksters in particular, they're actually asking for a fee waiver. So they usually hire our peninsula for the display of hot rods and cars. So they've actually requested that we simply waive that fee. That's our contribution. Whereas you can see that the Strathbogie History Group have asked for funding to support both in-kind council equipment hire and to support the other items that are listed in the budget section, which I can find for you. There we go. So the cash component will be used to help cover the cost of marketing, entertainment, equipment hire and event insurance. The event organisers have also committed a substantial co-contribution to the event. So you can see the total cost of running that event for the Strathbogie community, which is quite large and a really significant community contribution, which we're really pleased to see.
Thank you, Director Frampton. Can I just I guess maybe ask for a correction? I just note that in point 1 of the item, there seems to be an error in the amount that is comprising of 4,731 in cash and 261 in kind. I think the first number should read 4,739 in cash, because that doesn't add up to 5,000. I was just doing the math. Thank you. So we'll just note that will be corrected in the minutes, so that the comprising of 4,739 in cash and 261 in kind support for the delivery of the Strathbogie Cup Festival, Weekend Festival. If there's no further questions or clarifications, councillors, can I have a motion, please? And can you state what your motion is? Councillor Murray, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move the recommendation as listed on page 14 and 15 of the agenda.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Weatherall. Thank you, Councillor Weatherall. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Murray?
Just to say that I thank the Strathbogie History Group and, of course, the Action Group for auspicing the particular application up at Strathbogie. Having attended a previous History Group event up there, it was terrific, and I'm sure that this one will be well organised again this Cup weekend. So I encourage others to go, and I look forward to going to the car show over at Nagambie as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Councillor Weatherall, would you like to speak to the motion?
Sorry. I endorse Councillor Murray's remarks. It is pleasing to see these communities working together, or not together, but for their community, making significant progress, and it's very pleasing to be able to assist through council.
Thank you, Councillor Weatherall. Would any other councillor like to speak to the motion? If not, councillors, I shall put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands for all those in favour, please? And against? And I declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. We now move to page 21 of the agenda, item 11.2.3, annual review of the Domestic Animal Management Plan, Year 1 Progress Report. Director Frampton, may we have a summary of this report, please?
Thank you, Mayor Binks. The Domestic Animals Act 1994 requires Council to prepare a domestic animal management plan every 4 years. At its meeting in December 2021, Council adopted the 2020 to 2025 Domestic Animal Management Plan after significant community consultation on its development. The plan outlines the key issues and objectives and priorities for how cats and dogs will be managed in our Shire. The plan has 8 focus areas, each with their own priority actions, which may have a specific year of delivery or may be ongoing. Under Section 68A, Section 3 of the Domestic Animals Act, Council must review its domestic animal management plan annually and, if appropriate, amend the plan, provide the Secretary with a copy of the plan and any amendments, and publish an evaluation of its implementation of the plan in its annual report. Council's annual review of the plan was due in December 2022, but due to the impact of the October 22 flood event, Council was given an extension. This report provides an overview of the key achievements from Year 1 of the Domestic Animal Management Plan. You'll see that in Attachment 1, there's a significant list of all the achievements of the plan, a detailed listing, and a recommendation for Council's consideration can be found on page 21 of your agenda.
Thank you, Director Frampton. Councillors, are there any questions or clarification for the officer regarding this? Councillor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. Director, this is more of a progress report, I understand, than really a review of the plan. Can you explain the difference there?
So as it is Year 1, thank you, Councillor Murray. As it was year 1, it was found that the actions are all still particularly relevant. So therefore, it was deemed that it's really an annual review against our progress from the following Year 1 of implementation.
Thank you, Director Frampton. Are there any further questions or clarification? If not, councillors, can I have a motion, please? And can you, is this a question or clarification, or are you going to move the motion? You can do that. You just put your hand up very quickly, and I wasn't. Yeah, there you go. All right. So can you state the motion, please, Councillor Weatherall? I believe it's 21, page 21 of the document. But
I've been silenced.
No.
Yeah, I know. And we-
page 21 of the agenda. Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Haysberg. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Weatherall?
Yes. We've got it. The recommendation that council note the annual progress report on the 2021-25 domestic animals management plan. 30 years local government experience, this comes up regularly, and the opportunity to deal with one of the more significant issues that local government face is cats and dogs, and they can prove to be an interesting challenge because there are risks involved, and especially the management of both particular species of pet. What I find is somewhat disappointing is that if you go through the charts of recommendations and plans and progress reports, that over the years very little changes. There is so much particular items listed as work in progress, that'll be done next year, or the opportunity to clean up cats and dogs and make significant progress in this area is often not pushed hard enough by council. So in this area, I welcome the motion, and I ask that probably in future that council redouble its effort in this particular area, because it's not insignificant. There's a lot of community concerned about the way we manage this particular important sector.
Thank you, Councillor Weatherall. Councillor Haysberg, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thanks, Mayor. I would argue that we are doing a lot in this area, and I would like to thank Director Frampton for the update and officers for all their work in this space. I just want to quickly address some of the community's calls for a cat curfew and gauging the community's sentiment for restrictions on cat curfew times. It is an action that's outlined for years 3 and 4 of this plan. So I just want to assure the community that it is coming. Our domestic animal management plan also contains actions that will be completed in the coming years, and they are specifically aimed at cat owners. These include investigate successful industry programs that have achieved reduced incidents of cat trespassing, promote the benefits of preventing cats from wandering to reduce cat nuisance complaints, promote the cat cage service that council provides to deal with nuisance and complaints, and update information resources for cat owners whose cats are subject of cat trespass complaints, and also consider the incentive for cat owners to build in and secure their cats into their property 24/7. In the meantime, I'd like to take the opportunity tonight to help deliver one of those actions and remind locals that there are cat cages available at the council offices if they would like to contain nuisance animals. Officers do suggest that you phone ahead to check availability, and their rangers are always willing to help. So if you have any issues, please reach out to council officers or councillors. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Haysberg. Would any other councillor like to speak to the motion? If not, councillors, I'll put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands for all those in favour, please? And against? And declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. Now move to page 26 of the agenda, item 11.3.1, tender for contract number 2223-73, provision of internal auditor. Director Tingay. May we have a summary of this report, please?
Thank you, Mayor Binks. Council recently invited tenders for the internal audit service contract following its recent expiry. Internal audit provides assurance to Council that Council's policies and systems provide adequate control across the breadth of Council operations, and that these policies and systems are effectively operated, safeguarding Council's assets and ensuring ratepayers get value for money from Council services. At the closing of the tender advertising period, 3 tenders were received. Following the assessment period, it is recommended to award contract 2022-23-73 to RSD Audit Proprietary Limited for a period of 3 years from execution, with options for 2 one-year extensions for a total amount of $173,000, $73,800 inclusive of GST. RSD ranked first in each qualitative category and in pricing. There is a recommendation on page 26 for Council's consideration. Thank you, Mayor Binks.
Thank you, Director Tingay. Councillors, are there any questions of clarification for the officer? Councillor Weatherill.
Yes. Is this an opportunity to change our auditors, and is that reflected in this decision that has been proposed?
Thank you for your question, Councillor Weatherill, and through you, Mayor Binks. A competitive tender process was undertaken for this contract. Our current contractor is AFS and Associates. They are our current contractor, with that contract expiring on the 30th of June. And following the competitive assessed tender process and the subsequent assessment, it was recommended by the panel that the contract be awarded to ARSD Audit.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Tingay. Councillor Rayburn.
Thank you. And through you, Mayor, is it a good idea to change auditors every so often?
I think it is, but that is also subject to a competitive tender process and ensuring that the applications meet the requirements and what we're looking for. Certainly, we did have a strong field, but RSD certainly provided a number of reporting and planning capacity that they could offer that was quite excellent.
Thank you, Director Tingay. Councillors, if there's no further questions, can I have a motion, please? And can you state what your motion is, Councillor Weatherill?
Yes, this time I'll prove that I'm not altogether behind and get the right recommendation. That Council move item 1, 2 and 3.
On page, what?
Oh, if I get the little mouse.
26.
He's up here. The page is up the top of here and it says 26.
And then there's also additional points on page 27. So we're going to move.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Apologies, Mayor. I was negligent in not mentioning 4 and 5.
Thank you. Okay, great. So we're going to move the whole motion as recommended. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Murray. Thank you, Councillor Murray. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Weatherill?
I think the answers that the officers gave about the questions were adequate and enlightening and helpful, and I think this is a good move by Council.
Thank you, Councillor Weatherill. Councillor Murray?
I agree, and I think there's an important tender process, and the internal auditors are an important function, an important oversight function of the Shire, and it's important to get it right. There is some advantage, I suppose, in changing auditors every so often, but I'm sure that wasn't part of the criteria. But they went through a process, and I'm pleased to second the motion recommending the result. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Would any other councillor like to speak to motion? Councillor Rayburn?
Thank you, Mayor. And through you, Mayor, I'd like to thank our previous auditors. 19 years they've been looking after us and keeping us, 10 years. Got 19.
Nothing like giving them a promotion.
Yeah, well, why not? They're pretty good. They were pretty good, actually. I got on really well with them. So through the audit risk. But that's the reason I asked why we had changed. I really think we should thank them for their thing. I believe the audit and risk were very impressed with the way they operated with. But as always, under a tender operation, you get the best one you get selected at the time, and that's what we've gone with. And I appreciate their service to us anyway.
Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. I'll now put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands for all those in favour, please? And against? And declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. We now move to page 33 of the agenda. Item 11.3.2, tender for contract number 2223-15, supply and construct Nagambie transfer station resale shed. Governance Advisor Carruthers, may we have a summary of the report, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors, in April 2022, Council committed to funding the introduction of a resale shop at the Nagambie Resource Recovery Centre. Council was ultimately successful in receiving funding of over $71,000 from Sustainability Victoria and allocated additional council funds of over $35,000, giving a project total of $107,438. An initial tendering process resulted in tenders that were 28 to 460% over the budget. So Council undertook a second email quote process from local commercial shed retailers and achieved a best value quote of $96,820, so under the $107,000 budget. The recommendation at the bottom of page 33 and the top of page 34 is that Council note the process, award the tender and authorises officers to complete the administration of that.
Thank you, Governance Advisor Carruthers. Councillors, are there any questions of clarification for the officer regarding this item? Nope. If not, councillors, can I have a motion? Oh, sorry, councillor, you're giving me the motion. Gee. Can you use your microphone, please?
Recommendation that council items 1 and 2, and there's no extra over the page, award the tender for contract number 22-23 not slash, but whatever, 15
right,
for the Nagambie transfer station resale shop.
Thank you, Councillor Weatherald. Is there a seconder for the motion? Councillor Murray. Thank you, Councillor Murray. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Weatherald?
Certainly shall. Nagambie will be delighted with this investment and the confidence in the Nagambie community. It will certainly help recycle a large amount of landfill goods, and it will be a welcome addition, and the investment will be beneficial and have a long-lasting impact on the Nagambie community.
Thank you, Councillor Weatherall. Councillor Murray, would you like to speak to it?
Yes, I also endorse the officer recommendation on page 33, 34, items 1 to 4. And I would like to thank the Shire for instituting this part of this circular economy plan the Victorian government is very keen to promote, to cut waste and to reuse some of our resources. And I hope that this particular resale shop might be duplicated in other parts of the Shire in the future. So I look forward to that.
Thank you. Councillor Murray, would any other councillor like to speak to the motion?
Mayor, I need to correct myself again. There's recommendation 3 and 4 on this particular item too.
Ah.
My goodness gracious me.
Goodness gracious us.
Apologies.
Thank you for correcting that, and we will recommend the whole recommendation.
Please.
Great. Thank you for picking that up. I hadn't scrolled down all the way. Okay. Did any other councillor wish to speak to the motion? No. If not, councillors, I'll put the motion to a vote for the whole motion, pages 33
and
34. Thank you. Can I see show of hands for all those in favour, please? And against, and declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. I now move to page 39 of the agenda, item 11.3.3, contract for works and grants awarded under delegation 1st to the 30th of July 2023. Acting Director Tingay, can we have a summary? Should that say be 1st to the 31st of July? I think it should be. Yeah, we might amend that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Binks. So commencing from this month and in line with the adopted community funding model, this report, which is a standing report on our agenda, also is now going to capture grants awarded under delegation as well. So not only does it capture contracts and works, but it will also now capture grants awarded. So within the reporting period, there have been 3 contracts and 1 grant that has been issued under delegation. There is a recommendation on page 39 for Council's consideration. Thank you. Mayor Binks.
Thank you, Director Tingay. Are there any questions or clarification? Councillor Weatherill.
I need to address a question to the Chief Executive Officer. Following up on an item to do with the Violet Town landfill and the Leachey Dam decant and water disposal, there was an expenditure of $55,548, which was required urgent action by the Chief Executive Officer, which I note avoided some of the normal contract requirements. Can the Chief Executive Officer enlighten the Council on some more detail?
Thank you for your question, Councillor Weatherill, and through you, Mayor. The leachate dam at the Violet Town landfill is being constantly monitored and evaluated over this winter period, particularly with the wet winter that we've had under advisement from the EPA. And it's deemed necessary, Council, as it's deemed necessary, contractors are brought in to transport the excess leachate to a licensed site for treatment. This is going to occur whilst we are completing the construction of the rehabilitation project and the stormwater drainage on the site. The contractors are due back on site in early September, and this will prevent the excess stormwater from flowing along the fence line of the adjoining property and also into the leachate dam. And so we should be so this contract is just for a short-term solution until the construction has been completed. As councillors are aware, and some of the community may be aware, we had to cease construction on the site due to the wet weather because the heavy earth machinery was just not able to work under the boggy, wet conditions of the site. So the transporting of the leachate to a licensed facility is only, as I said, a temporary measure until the stormwater drains are completed. And this has been, as I said, exacerbated by the wet weather on site. So I'd like to assure you and the councillors and the community that we are monitoring the levels of the leachate pond, and the leachates will be removed if and as required by licensed contractors as a short-term measure under advisement by the EPA. I hope that answers your question, Councillor Weatherill.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, CEO Salomon. Councillors, if there's no further questions of clarification, can I have a motion, please? And can you state what your motion is? Councillor Hayes-Burke.
Please move the motion on page 39 of the agenda.
Thank you, Councillor Hayes-Burke. Do I have a seconder for the motion?
Second.
Councillor Murray. Thank you, Councillor Murray. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Haysbert?
Just to say that I'm very keen to, I know all council officers are in the community, to see the Violet Town landfill completed. So I guess this is just a step towards the completion. So we just have to hold tight until that's due for completion this year. And it's also great to see the community taking up our community conversations around the 26th of January. That sounds like it'll be a great event, and good on Avenel for holding such an event. I hope there are other communities that take up the offer. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Haysbert. Councillor Murray, did you wish to speak to the item? Did any other councillor like to speak to the item? No. If not, councillors, I'll put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands? All those in favour, please. And against? And declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. Moving to page 44 of the agenda. Item 11.3.4, Growing Regions of Funding, Expression of Interest, Rehabilitation Works, Kerwins Bridge. Governance Advisor Carruthers, may we have a summary of the report, please?
Thanks, Mayor. As councillors are aware, Kerwins Bridge requires extensive rehabilitation works, and officers are approaching the stage of formally reviewing the options identified. The Commonwealth Government's Growing Regions program provides funding for community and economic development projects. Officers have submitted an expression of interest for funding from this program, which would require a 10% contribution from council, estimated at $700,000. The recommendation at the bottom of page 44 and top of page 45 asks council to note these preliminary actions by officers and the level of contribution should we be successful, and the involvement of the Kerwins Bridge community panel in selection of the preferred option.
Thank you, Governance Advisor Carruthers. Are there any questions or clarification regarding this item for the officer?
It's just a maybe.
Councillor Haysbert, yes.
Thanks, Mayor. Director, question to the CEO. So the $700,000, that would be out of the current year's budget, or would it be forecasted for the next budget?
So thank you for your question, Councillor Haysbert, and through you, Mayor. We anticipate that if we are successful, and we hope that we are, to proceed to round two, that we'll be able to provide the $700,000 through the offset of some of our flood insurance payouts.
Thank you.
Thank you, CEO Solomon. Councillors, can I have a motion, please? And can you state what your motion is? Councillor Weatherill. Thank you, Councillor Weatherill. Is there a seconder for the motion? Councillor Rayburn. Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. Would you like to speak to the item, Councillor Murray? Sorry, Councillor Weatherill. Can you just turn on your microphone, please? Thank you, Councillor Weatherill.
I congratulate the Shire officers. The employment of JJ Ryan was a brilliant stroke. The report gives such hope and such opportunity, and with the Commonwealth Government being the only government in Australia with any money, and offering perhaps up to 90%, this is once in a lifetime opportunity. And I encourage this Shire and this council to grasp this opportunity with both hands and not let it sink in the lake, because there'll be many others looking for this particular grant money. We, I believe, are assured that we are in a strong position. We have an enormously strong argument for this road and this bridge to be upgraded. And the opportunity, I think, here is a confidence vote in the Kerwins Bridge community and their long future.
Thank you, Councillor Weatherall. Councillor Rayburn, would you like to speak to the item?
Thank you, Mayor, and through you, Mayor. I'd like to acknowledge that Councillor Weatherall's comments are 100% correct. We are very lucky here through our officers to be able to put this into the federal government. As Councillor Weatherall did state, this is the first time I've ever known, and I think it's the first time we've ever known that a government is going to give 90 to 10, which is one, I just never ever heard of this before in my life as being involved in any public money situation. So I think it's a great opportunity. I know it's only stage one, but if you're not in there at the stage one, you'll never be in there at the end. So we have to be there at the start. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Councillor Rayburn. I don't know why I keep saying your name tonight, Councillor Murray, but anyway, does anyone else want to talk? Would you like to talk, Councillor Murray?
Perhaps I'm saying I've been invited to a number of times. Perhaps I ought to say something. Look, I'd like to echo the comments by my two fellow councillors there about the importance of this application. The issue of Kerwins Bridge is one that has occupied much of our time over the last few months, and there is an opportunity here for significant movement on the issue and some sort of resolution perhaps in the future. And I think it's great that the officers have found the time to put in such a complex grant application, which required such a lot of work and looks terrific, really. So I thank them for all their hard work, and I also thank the Kerwins Bridge community over there for their patience and their understanding, and hopefully their continued involvement in finding a resolution to this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Councillors, I'll now put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands for all those in favour, please? And against, and declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. We now move to page 52 of the agenda, item 11.4.1, Council Policy Review, Waste-Wise Events Policy. Director Frampton, may we have a summary, please?
Thank you, Mayor Binks, and through you. Council adopted the Waste-Wise Events Policy in September 2020. The purpose of the policy is to minimise the impact of events on our natural environment, banning the use of single-use plastics, ensuring best practice waste management principles, and supporting community through events to minimise negative environmental and climate change impacts. Officers have reviewed the policy and made only minor changes to the policy, and the policy now fully reflects the state government's ban on the single-use plastics. A Waste-Wise Events Guide has also been produced to support event organisers to comply with the policy. Council proudly offers best practice waste management principles to waste management practice to its residents, which allows our residents to divert up to 70% of their waste away from landfill. The recommendation is printed for your consideration on page 52 of tonight's agenda.
Thank you, Director Frampton. Councillors, are there any questions or clarification of the officer regarding this item? Councillor Weatherald? Can you use your microphone, please? Thank you.
The statement that 70% savings of landfill could be anticipated by this new updated policy. Could you enlighten us a little bit more and fill in a bit more detail on that particular opportunity?
Thank you, Councillor Weatherall, and through you, Mayor. I might take that question on notice if I can, and I can provide an update for you.
Thank you, Director Frampton. Are there any further questions or clarification? If not, councillors, can I have a motion, please, and can you state what your motion is? Councillor Weatherald.
Yes, we'll get that page. (52), I'm assured. Recommendation that council adopt and update the Waste-Wise Events Policy and support the publication and encourage the use of the Waste-Wise Events Guide and associated supporting materials.
Thank you, Councillor Weatherill. Is there a seconder for the motion? Councillor Hayes-Burke. Thank you, Councillor Hayes-Burke. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Weatherill?
Yes, Mayor. This is very good news. The environment will be greatly enhanced by a 70% drop in landfill usage. And I would believe that intelligent use of our range of bins is certainly going to help educate our community in better self-management of their own personal behaviour, which they have a responsibility to our planet, and we will be providing them with great opportunity to help clean up their act in the future.
Thank you, Councillor Weatherill. Councillor Hayes-Burke, would you like to speak to the motion?
I agree with Councillor Weatherill. It's really important. I can't stress how important it is to try as a Shire to reduce our waste. Australia is one of the biggest contributors to landfill per capita. I really hope that all those holding events in the Shire read the guide and seek advice from officers should they need it. There are ways we can think differently, learn and do better. Our WasteWise policy is simple to understand and can really help us reduce our waste. One thing I'd like to point out is that to reduce plastics, I'd advise event organisers to use aluminium cans, of which 100% of those can be recycled, whereas with plastic containers, new plastic needs to be created, so you're not really 100% recycling the plastic. I believe that if we all work together, we can reduce our waste.
Thank you. Councillor Hayes-Burke, would any other councillor like to speak to this item? No. If not, councillors, I'll put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands? All those in favour and against? And I declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. We now move to page 58 of the agenda, item 11.4.1. 2021 to 2025 Council Plan Update, the 2023 to 2024 Actions and Advocacy Strategy 2021 to 2025 Progress Update. Director Tingay, can we have a summary of the report, please?
Thank you, Mayor Binks. This provides an update on both the current council plan and also an update on our advocacy strategy. The council plan represents a 4-year roadmap for council and describes the key priorities that council will focus on between 2021 and 2025. It is normal practice to review and update the council plan annually in parallel with the preparation of a new budget and the revision of the 10-year long-term financial plan. This is the second review of the council plan and highlights actions in focus for the 2023-2024 financial year. There are a number of new additions included in the 2023-2024 actions to align with the adopted budget and resolutions and decisions recently made by council. Attachment 2 to this report also highlights a tracking document. This tracking document measures our progress on the actions that have been included within the council plan. Our advocacy strategy identifies the priorities where the Shire's ambitions need to be matched by other levels of government. It sets out how council identifies and develops projects, undertakes activities towards achieving identified priorities. Attachment 3 to this report highlights the key achievements of the advocacy strategy thus far. Council's advocacy priorities are currently roads and bridges, the Greening Euroa project, reliable power supply infrastructure and renewable energy, equitable digital and telecommunications infrastructure, and nature-based play space. There is a recommendation on page 88 for Council's consideration. Thank you. Sorry, that would be 58 for Council's consideration. Thank you, Mayor Biggs. Yeah, no, stay at 58. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Tingay. Councillors, are there any questions of clarification of the officer regarding this item? Councillor Weatherill.
Mouse is a trap. My question is directed through the Mayor to the Chief Executive Officer. After very kind intervention from the Mayor and encouragement. I submitted some minor questions, but end of the line is that it's still distilled down into perhaps a consolation prize that council may conduct a workshop in the next 6 months to work on waste management improvements. Is that opportunity a real option, Chief Executive Officer?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. Councillor Weatherold, yes, we discussed that today, and as suggested by our governance advisor, we thought that that was probably the best way to address the issues that you wanted included and to also set some revised targets for waste management.
With indulgence from the Mayor, I thank the Chief Executive Officer.
Thank you, and thank you, CEO Salomon. Councillor Murray.
Yes, I've got a question there for the director. We've been able, I think, in this update to address some of the concerns of our community in Avenel. Can you explain how we've been able to do that, please?
Thank you, Councillor Murray, for your question, and through you, Mayor. Yes, we have been able, as part of the resolution that was made with the budget, with the adoption of the 2023-2024 budget. There was a resolution to include a number of advocacy items into the council plan. So those advocacy items have been included in the 2023-2024 actions. They include the clarification of land arrangements with VicTrack for the car park precinct at Saleyard Road and Bank Street Avenel, including a funding commitment to upgrade this area. And the second action was to work collaboratively with the Department of Transport and Planning to address the community's safety concerns, once again Saleyard Road and Bank Street Avenel, in a coordinated manner.
Thank you, Director.
Thank you. Councillors, if there are no further questions or clarification, can I have a motion, please? And can you state what your motion is? Councillor Hayes-Burke.
Thanks, Mayor. Can I please move the motion on page 58 of the agenda?
Thank you, Councillor Hayes-Burke. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Murray. Thank you, Councillor Murray. Would you like to speak to the item, Councillor?
Just to say that I'm proud to be a part of this council that's achieved all these great things for the community, and a big thanks to all the council staff who've helped us have these achievements. I just wanted to highlight a few actions that have been mentioned in the actions, that have been mentioned in the plan. The design for the mountain bike track at Balmadam Hill is underway. We've completed our economic strategy. We've almost completed the Violet Town landfill. We established our climate change actions and have completed the year one actions. We've almost set up the resource recovery shop in Nagambie, and we're in the process of developing our playground and open space strategy. They're just to name a few, but I'd like the community to read through the actions so that they can also feel proud of what the community and council have achieved. And there's, as Director Tingay highlighted, there are the advocacy items that we continue to work on, and I just want to assure the community that we are continuing to advocate on those. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hayes-Burke. Councillor Murray, would you like to speak to the item?
Yeah, I'd like to echo those comments made by Councillor Hayes-Burke. If the community has a look at the council plan action update, they'll see lots and lots of green blocks there of actions that have been completed, and I think it's a credit to this council and the community more broadly that we've been able to work through some of those actions and complete those. I think there's about 17 of 21 actions listed as green and having been completed. So I'm really pleased about that. I'm also pleased that we have been able to be responsive to the needs of our different communities, particularly in regard to the Avenel issue that I asked the Director about a moment ago. So I find that very pleasing in terms of our work and our planning for our community, both presently and in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Would any other councillor like to speak to it? Councillor Weatherold.
I'd like to acknowledge my fellow councillors and the Mayor and the Chief Executive Officer and staff members. I've endeavoured to make some fairly interesting additions to the council plan. Wasn't all that successful, but I have at least achieved dialogue and consultation and the opportunity to speak on the issues. And as is progress, it's slow, and I just have to go with the speed. I appreciate the help and the assistance of all involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Weatherald. Councillor Murray. Oh, gosh. Councillor Rayburn. I don't know. You're going to have to dye your hair.
I know I'm grey, but I'm not that grey. Can I just say that our council plan, when we went out to our community and had the consultation with them, a lot of us around this table were worried that the community were going to put too much pressure on us and give us items which we thought were going to be beyond our ability to be able to fulfil. But we've belted it. We are really going out there, and I have to congratulate the CEO and the staff on their consultation with our community on how this has been coming about. It's not very often you have a look at a council plan and you're into going into the third year that there's green, green, green. There's a lot, or usually there's a yellow and a lot of red, but we're in the green. And I congratulate the CEO and her staff on this because it takes a lot of work and a lot of consultation with community to make this happen. And the other thing I'd like to say is congratulations to the Mayor on her advocacy for us as a council, because she's out there belting the back doors and front doors of a lot of people to get all this to happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. Okay, councillors, I shall now put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands for all those in favour, please? And against? And I declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. Now we move to page 66 of the agenda and item 11.5.1, receipt of resignation, Councillor Christy Hourigan. Governance Advisor Carruthers, may we have a summary of the report, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors, I apologise for telling you what you already know, but it allows the departure of Councillor Hourigan to get on the record, and also allows you to comment should you wish. At the time of writing this report, the CEO had received a written resignation from Councillor Christy Hourigan. The CEO had informed the Minister for Local Government and the Acting Electoral Commissioner and of the extraordinary vacancy, and the Electoral Commissioner had commenced proceedings for the election of the new councillor for the Seven Creeks ward.
Thank you, Governance Advisor Carruthers. Councillors, are there any questions of clarification for the officer regarding this item? No. If not, can I have a motion, please? And can you state what your motion is? Councillor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. Can I move the recommendation as listed on page 66 of the agenda, please?
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Hayes-Burke. Thank you, Councillor Hayes-Burke. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Murray?
I would. Thank you, Mayor. Look, I'd like to say a couple of things about the departure of our councillor, Christy Hourigan, recently. I'd like to thank her for her contribution. I'd also like to say that personally, I have found her to be professional, diligent, fearless, hardworking, well respected in the community. At times controversial, but with a generous heart and some big ideas. And I've been pleased and privileged to be working with her over the last 3 years. I I applaud her role as a role model of a young woman, family woman who came onto this council to make a difference, and I believe she did in that. She was a popularly elected candidate in this community who I think has served the community well, and I'm disappointed to see her departure, and I'm also disappointed for the community, I suppose, to see the departure of such a person as her who contributed so much to this council. But it's part of a democratic process that there be somebody else, I hope, who will step into that role, and I look forward to someone else taking up that mantle, if you like. I'm not sure if we're allowed to say who it might be, but anyway, I'm glad to see somebody might be able to step up to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Councillor Haysberg, would you like to speak to the item?
Thanks, Mayor. I'd just like to thank Councillor Hourigan for her services to this council and being my fellow councillor in Seven Creeks Ward. And I look forward to welcoming the incoming councillor, Shirley Saywell, who has accepted the council candidacy, if that's not the right word, sorry. And I know that she'll be accepting the vacancy in the next couple of months. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Haysberg. Would any other councillor like to speak to the motion? Councillor Weatherill.
I do have to support the eloquence of Councillor Paul. Covered the subject very well. It was an unfortunate event, and that young lady has left. And once you resign, you resign. I join with all of my colleagues in congratulating her on her service.
Thank you, Councillor Weatherill. Councillors, I'll put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands for all those in favour? And against? And I declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. Now we move on to page 70 of the agenda, item 11.5.2, Council Continued Commitment to Good Governance. Chief Executive Salomon, may we have a summary of the report, please?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. Further to the report and commitments endorsed at the 27th of June 2023 Extraordinary Council meeting, this report details the collaborative work undertaken by councillors to strengthen their good governance. Following the work facilitated by Mr Andrew Douglas from FCW Lawyers, the councillors have collectively developed a statement that summarises their learning and commitment going forward. In addition, this statement has been supplemented by the following documents: councillor statement of intent that will guide and direct behaviour between councillors as a group and between councillors and council officers, and will be an internal working document, an action-based response to the former municipal monitor, Miss Janet Dawes' 10-point plan to ensure that it informs and is embedded in council practice, and again another internal working document, and a councillors and ELT transition plan. An additional councillor and executive team forum is being considered in late August, early September to further support and consolidate the training undertaken with Andrew Douglas to date. There is a recommendation on page 71 on tonight's agenda for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO Salomon. Councillors, are there any questions of clarification for the CEO regarding this item? If not, can I have a motion, please? And can you state what your motion is? Councillor Murray, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move the recommendation as listed on page 71 of the agenda.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. You'll second it, Councillor Haysberg. Thank you, Councillor Haysberg. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Murray?
Yes, I'd like to move this recommendation and formally commit to the signing that is occurring of the statement of intent. Also, I'd like to commit council to the revised action plan that we have come up with, the 10-point action plan that we have developed over a large period of time. I think this is part of a journey that we are making in terms of our improvement, and it's an important step along that journey. And I think it's important that we make that commitment and move forward in terms of our plans for the future for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Councillor Hayesburg, would you like to speak to the item?
I thank you, Mayor. Yes, I would. I just want to say I was really reluctant to support this training with Andrew Douglas in the beginning because I didn't believe that the way it was initiated was good governance, and I was apprehensive about the trainer and that they were the best person for the job. However, I supported the motion because I wanted to work collaboratively with my fellow councillors because I knew that at the time we really needed to show our commitment to more governance training. I hope my fellow councillors got a lot out of this training, and as the aim of it was to restore trust between the executive team and councillors. The updated 10-point plan of the previous monitors is particularly helpful and provides more guidance on good governance. I'm committed to the statement of intent and the statement of intent, the 10-point plan and the transition plan, and I urge my fellow councillors to also commit through their actions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hayesburg. Would any other councillor like to speak to the motion? Councillor Weatherall, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes. More than 30 years experience in local government, and I take great pride in being part of councils that have had enormous stability that never saw resignations. I went through a period of 6 months where I had a business commitment that took me interstate to Albury while I was a councillor in the former Shire of Euroa. And I also had a major heart surgery in 2012, which kept me out of action for perhaps 2 or 3 months, I'm not sure. Council, as I know it, has always been enormously stable. I've only recently joined this group, and I've had to contain myself enormously to ensuring my one and only goal is to commit to working with the team that we have and ensuring that we present a solid team and approach that can restore the reputation of this council as being sustainable and having a long-term future.
Thank you, Councillor Weatherall. Councillor Rayburn, got it right?
You got it right this time. That's good. No, thank you, Mayor, and through you, Mayor. This training which we did to draw this commitment by councillors to go forward took a lot of hard work, a lot of soul searching, a lot of how would I say, reflection on where we are and how we've acted. To be honest, I still don't believe we've got there, but this is the step. And all you always got to do is put one step in front of the other to try and go forward, to try and improve life for us as councillors and especially life for the officers of this council. With due respect to everybody in the room, I believe we as councillors should utmost and be most respectful for the position of Mayor and the CEO. And if we don't do that, we'll never go forward anywhere, anytime, or for the future. So I hopefully by signing this document here tonight, we will be able to go forward as one, working together, having confidence in each other and having respect of each other and understanding our role as a councillor.
Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. I normally don't speak, but I did just want to read out the statement that we developed because I think it's really important and I think it would be a good opportunity to do so. So I'm just going to read the statement, which is printed in the papers as well as all the attachments. So it says, we, the Strathbogie Shire councillors, have reflected upon the successes and challenges of the council. We have considered how we can improve the quality of the representative work we undertake through a lens of collaboration, respect, and ensuring both our and the council's employees' working environments are safe, respectful, collegiate, and innovative. As the leaders within council, we understand that the leadership role is ours to embrace. As we work together to recommit to our obligations, we do so with a strong commitment to follow good governance, reflect on difference and diversity, and embrace and support it. We ask you, the community and the employees of council, to be proud of the debate we undertake to create a better present and future for Strathbogie Shire. And we commit to do so in a generous, respectful, forgiving and wise manner. As councillors, we will be accountable to this aspiration between ourselves, council employees and the community of Strathbogie Shire. So, councillors, I will now put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands for all those in favour, please? And against? And I declare that carried. We do have the documents here with us this evening and we are going to sign them here. So, I will start. Do you want to take it that way? So one of them is our 10-point plan, the expanded version, and the other one is the statement of intent, internal working document.
Mayor, with your indulgence, a non-agenda item. May I make comment that the floor cables have gone and that the officers involved need to be congratulated on the innovative addition of batteries that ensure safety.
Yes.
Occupational health and safety.
Yes, it is. It's a great shift. We have battery packs now. They did take a little while to arrive, but we have them and they seem to be working well this evening. And we've gotten rid of the tangle of cables.
Today, Christopher, 15. That's in the 8 months, you reckon? No, it's 2023. Oh, you want another one? No more. Oh, God, we've got a second one. Got a second lady. Can't get away, can we? Can I sign it left them? Yeah.
Well, I'd love your autograph one day, Tom. Okay, thank you, councillors, and I look forward to us demonstrating the actions of these important documents. We now move to page 76 of the agenda, Item 11.5.3, draft governance rules, community consultation, governance advisor Carruthers. May we have a summary, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors, a requirement of the Local Government Act is the review of the council's governance rules 1 year before any scheduled Victorian Council elections. And as you're aware, we've been conducting workshops to analyse the governance rules and to amend them. The key proposed changes that have come out of those workshops are revised conflict of interest rules to reflect learnings from the recommendations from the Independent Broad-Based Anti-Corruption Agency, availability of rules to address serious disruptions of council meetings, and simplification of a number of processes. The Act also requires that a process of community engagement is followed in amending the governance rules, and this report seeks endorsement from Council to undertake a community consultation process on the draft updated governance rules, allowing the community to provide feedback on the proposed amendments. The recommendation is on page 76.
Thank you, Governance Advisor Carruthers. Councillors, are there any questions or clarification for the officer? No? If not, councillors, can I have a motion, please? And can you state what your motion is? Councillor Haysbert, thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. Can I please move the motion on page 76 of the agenda?
Thank you, Councillor Haysbert. Is there a seconder for the motion? Councillor Rayburn. Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. Would you like to speak to the item, Councillor Haysbert?
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Governance Advisor Carruthers, for all your efforts in bringing this the governance rules up to best practice. I know we're in good hands with all your expertise. One of the key things that's been amended is the tightening up of the conflict of interest declarations and also making the language of the document more inclusive. So this is going out for community consultation, and I'm keen to see the community's input on the document and it coming back to council for our endorsement. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Haysbert. Councillor Rayburn, would you like to speak to the item?
Yes, Mayor, and thank you through you, Mayor. This is probably the main thing that we as councillors have to abide by is governance rules. This going out to our community, I would love everybody in our community to read this and to ring someone and ask questions about what governance is about, because any group or any community group or any association you're with, you have governance rules. These are our governance rules, which are governed by the state, but we've enhanced it even further. So please do read these and understand what we are dealing with and how we address these in the future.
Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. Would any other councillor like to speak to this motion? If not, councillors, I'll put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands for all those in favour, please? And against, and declare that carried unanimously. Motion was carried unanimously. All right, page 81. 11.5.4, monthly performance report. Director Tingay, may we have a summary of the report, please?
Thank you, Mayor Binks. This is our monthly report that includes statistics and information on a range of different council functions, including waste management, building planning and customer service analysis. This month, there were 689 new customer inquiry requests that were received. There is a recommendation on page 81 for council's consideration. Thank you, Mayor Binks.
Thank you, Director Tingay. Councillors, are there any questions or clarification for the officer regarding this item? No, if not, I'd just like to note that the graphs seem more legible this month. And I think it's really great that they are far more easy to read at this level. So thank you for implementing those changes. Okay, councillors, can I have a motion, please? And can you state what your motion is? Councillor Haysbert?
I'd like to move the recommendation that the report be noted.
Thank you, Councillor Haysbert. Can I have a seconder for the motion? Thank you, Councillor Weatherald. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Haysbert?
I know that as a Shire, yes, I would. Thanks, Mayor. As a Shire, we're generally really good at waste and contamination, but I have noted that over the past year, the statistics say that the contamination of our curbside rubbish has increased. And I wonder if this is because of the influx of residents that we have in the Shire who might be accustomed to slightly different curbside collection services, because I know in each council they're slightly different, which is what the state government is trying to bring into line with the circular economy policy. I'd be really happy to help any members of the community if they have any questions in relation to waste, and I know that the officers are here too, because I think that's one thing that we can really reduce is the contamination, because that means that those things end up in landfill and we can't recycle or compost the waste. And I also note that the Aroa statistics for the transfer station are high again. So that's another case for the resaleability shop, I hope, in the future.
Thank you, Councillor Haysbert. Councillor Weatherall, would you like to speak to the item?
Thank you, Mayor. The comments by Councillor Haysbert are very pertinent. And certainly Nagambie is pleased to have the new construction that'll enhance the stopping of landfill by recycling lots of items in the new shed when it's completed. And I do acknowledge the improvement in size of the print. It is great stuff, and every improvement is appreciated.
Thank you, Councillor Weatherall. Would any other councillor like to speak to this motion? If not, councillors, I'll put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands for all those in favour, please? And against? And that motion is carried unanimously. Page 99, 11.6.1, Community Satisfaction Survey. CEO Solomon, may we have a summary of the report, please?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. This year's Community Satisfaction Survey has seen a drop in overall satisfaction of 3 points to an index score for 2023 of 53. This drop is consistent with the overall drop in satisfaction across small rural shires of 3 points to 55 and statewide reduction of 3 points also to 56. On most individual service areas, changes to performance ratings have not been statistically significant, and a statistically significant score is 3 points or more. The exceptions being art centres and libraries have increased by 4 points to an index score of 71. Overall, council direction has seen a decrease by 5 points to an index score of 45, and community decisions has also seen a decrease of 4 points to an index score of 47. While the decrease in satisfaction is most disappointing, given our record of achievement in 2021, we are making significant progress in closing the gap between our performance compared to other small rural shires. This year, our performance is in line with both the small rural group and the statewide group average for half of the individual service areas that we evaluate against. Just 3 years ago, in 2020, council was a statistically significant 6 points behind the small rural average and 8 points behind the statewide average. So this year, council has also recorded significantly higher results compared to the small rural shire average in appearance of public areas, waste management and customer service. In 2020, 2021, and 2022, there were no areas in which our performance was significantly higher. So this really is a great outcome in this area. The action plan attached to this report has been developed in response to this year's community survey results to ensure that we continue to drive improvements for our community. Over the next 12 months, we're going to focus on continuing to streamline our planning processes, focusing on community decisions, focusing also on increasing council's presence in the community, undertaking pulse surveys to gather further detail and advice, and continue, particularly in a post-flood environment, our road blitz. We are, as a council, committed to doing better. We want to work with our community to achieve a great range of things. Councillors, there is a recommendation on page 100 of tonight's agenda for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO Solomon. Councillors, are there any questions of clarification of the CEO this evening? If not, councillors, can I have a motion, please? And can you state what your motion is? Councillor Haysbert, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Can I please move the motion on page 100 of the agenda?
Thank you, Councillor Haysbert. Is there a seconder for the motion? Councillor Rayburn, thank you. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Haysbert?
Thanks, Mayor. These survey results are always highly anticipated, and I know that councils with big budgets go to great lengths to make these surveys more appealing for their residents. And us with a small budget, we just have to do what we can and get the results we can. But we are listening, and I'm very proud of the CEO and her team for putting together the response action plan with its continued focus on roads, the planning process, community engagement, and getting us out into the community more. We are really doing well in the areas of art centres and libraries, waste and appearance of public areas, and customer service. So I think that has to be commended. I think that with council, we're trying to do something for every sector of the community, and I think that's why it's really hard to please everyone, but we are doing our best. I think the pulse surveys will be a really great way, and they're a great idea to target our improvements, and I look forward to hearing the results of those. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Haysbert. Councillor Rayburn, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Mayor, and through you, Mayor. The surveys are a very interesting dilemma. One thing we've just passed tonight is our council plan, which was put together by our community, which has got green, green, green everywhere. And then we get a survey which tells us we're not doing very good. So I wonder how we satisfy everybody anywhere every day. So when we have customer service, which we very much pride ourselves on to have very good customer service, and our personnel are extremely good at what they do. Our public areas are a great thing for us. We are, and even, Violet Town, we have many people come through Violet Town and raise, and every Friday when I do sit down at the cafe down there, I just have people from around Australia come up and say to me, the toilets at the Lions is the best toilets in Australia. They are the cleanest. So they're very good judges. You need to go to a toilet, you want to have a clean one. So and they tell you that, but the local community don't tell you this. It's tourists, but the waste management one is the one that, Councillor Weatherall's very big on waste management. Councillor Haysbert is extremely big on waste management. But I was part of a waste management group back in 85, 86, 87, 88, which was the Western group, to try and change the whole philosophy on waste management. And that's why we have all these bins today. And I think waste management is our biggest cost to our community, and the more we can get waste management out of landfill and more into recycling, the better for our whole society and community. But, like the local roads and the sealed roads, as Tom and Marie would know where we live, you only have to have a bit of rain and the road disappears. So, and it's very, very hard to manage that because we do live in a undulating countryside. We're not in the flatlands like way out west. So we will have a lot of trouble with maintaining our roads.
Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. Would any other councillor like to speak to the motion? Councillor Weatherald?
Yes, I need to put a slightly alternative point of view. Firstly, I acknowledge that customer service and waste management score extremely high in the Shire. And that's a credit to a lot of people. There's a good team involved. There's a strong message, and there's a famous Prime Minister who come from West Australia, Victoria and South Australia, Bob Hawke. He said the punters are always right. That's the voters. There's a message, and this council would be risking a lot if it doesn't take up the message that is amplified in this report. There are areas of concern, and it was interesting that my fellow councillor Rayburn brought forward the items of green out of the council plan, and sort of didn't understand or felt that them their ratepayers weren't swallowing that stuff too readily. There's a reluctance in the community to be force-fed changes in the way this country is governed. I think, look, we've done quite well. We have to celebrate our good points, but for goodness sake, don't gloss over the message, because it's terribly important. If you don't think the punters will get it right, you only do that at your own peril.
Thank you. Did you want to speak to the motion, Councillor Murray?
Well, just to say that far be it from me to blow our own trumpet. I mean, we've done lots of great things, I think, over the last few years, and I think lots of members of the community probably appreciate that. But there are certainly problems, as Councillor Weatherall has alluded to. Things are tough for people, and times are tough, and costs are rising, and rates are high, and services, people want more, and governments aren't popular. The bottom line is no government is particularly popular, and it's always easy to find fault in things. We have. You just have to look at tonight and some of the issues in the Ngambie, and we're battling with some bridge issues, and we're battling with some crossing issues, school crossings, and there are always issues there that we're battling with and trying to resolve, and it's a constant struggle in that way. So we are doing our best. I think overall decision making, we're going to sort of work on that and try and improve our decision making and involving the community in various ways, whether it's surveys or community panels, or improving those and improving the engagement of people in our decisions. And I think that we have addressed some of the overall directions in terms of our roads and infrastructure and so on, and refocusing on some of those post-flood last year, remembering this survey was done in March. And lots of people were suffering back then post the flood. So, I think we are moving forward. We're moving forward strongly. There is, as Councillor Weatherall alluded to, there are still issues there, and we'll continue to address those as best we can.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Councillors, I'll put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands for all those in favour, please? And against, and to declare that carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. On to page 107 of the agenda item 11.6.2, Municipal Association of Victoria, October 2023, State Council motion, road and infrastructure funding. Governance Advisor Carruthers, may we have a summary of the report, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors Rayburn and Murray both just alluded to the conditions of the roads and in the Shire. Small shires like ours have been devastated by the effect of ongoing wet weather and major flooding back in October 2022. With about 7,500 ratepayers, our capacity to generate enough revenue to cover the costs to construct, maintain and upgrade thousands of kilometres of roads and hundreds of kilometres of bridges and culverts is frankly impossible without government assistance. We now have road surfaces across the region which have deteriorated to a point where they're impossible to navigate without significant reductions in speed. It's not just frustrating for the community, it's a safety concern. The Shire welcomes the Victorian Government's commitment to deliver a comprehensive $2 billion package to ensure that regional Victoria still receives the benefits that would have been facilitated by the 2026 Commonwealth Games. We also applaud the commitment of $1 billion of that $2 billion to social and affordable housing. While we understand and wholeheartedly support the significant benefits of sport in the Strathbogie Shire and throughout Victoria, rural and regional communities need safe roads and safe bridges to get people there. This report seeks Council's endorsement of the notice of motion to the MAV October 2023 State Council meeting, seeking advocacy to the Minister for Local Government and other relevant ministers to reallocate funding previously allocated to the Games and now earmarked for sporting upgrades to critical road and bridge projects in small and regional shires. The recommendations at the bottom of page 107.
Thank you, Governance Advisor Carruthers. Councillors, are there any questions or clarification of the officer regarding this item? If not, councillors, can I have a motion and can you state what your motion is, please? Councillor Haysberg.
Can I please move the motion on page 107 of the agenda?
Thank you, Councillor Haysberg. Is there a seconder for the motion? Councillor Rayburn. Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Haysberg?
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I'd just like to commend yourself and the CEO for putting this motion to MAV. It's true that without our roads being safe, we really don't have much. And I know that all other councils, especially the rural ones, are in the same boat, and I'm sure we'll support this motion. Even if I know that the state government wanted to put some funding towards sporting infrastructure, but without the roads, there's no point having the sporting infrastructure, is my view. So I hope that this is well received by MAV. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Haysberg. Councillor Rayburn, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Mayor. Through you, Mayor. Yeah, I understand each member of our community has to participate in some sporting event or be part of a sporting group. But to get to those games, those reserves and all that, you need roads and you need safe roads. And all our community, our farmers and all our community all need safe roads so we can travel around this shire and the state with comfort and understanding that the road network is going to be there to look after us and to assist us in our travels. So I absolutely support this 100% to look after us as members of our community and the state of Victoria.
Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. Would any other councillor like to speak to the item? Councillor Weatherald.
Yes, through the Mayor, I support your advocacy. You do a lot of good work in this particular area. The challenges you face with the government, who don't have a great deal of money at the moment and probably won't have money for some time, is that your hard work, I would like to believe, will be successful, but I'm not overly optimistic.
Thank you, Councillor Weatherald. Councillor Murray, did you wish to speak to the motion? No. If not, councillors, I'll put the motion to vote. Can I see a show of hands for all those in favour, please? Against? That is carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. We move to page 11. notice of motions. Oh my gosh, this is me. So I will read out it's item 12.1, notice of motion, council meeting Tuesday, 15th of August 2023, report on attendance at the Australian Local Government Association 2023 National General Assembly, Our Communities, Our Future, 13th to the 16th of June in Canberra, including the Australian Council for Local Government Forum, lodged by Councillor Laura Binks, notice of motion reference number 0723. So councillors, what you have before you is a report on my attendance at the Australian Local Government Association annual conference which is in Canberra. It was a requirement. I was grateful to receive your endorsement and support by funding this trip to Canberra, which happened back in April, I believe. And in doing so, part of the requirement of having that trip funded, because it was interstate travel, was to provide a report back to council and to the community as to the benefits of the trip to Canberra. So I was really grateful that I was able to hitch a ride and share the driving with the Mayor of Indigo Shire, Sophie Price, and which was not only really great for our own, safety, sharing the long drive to Canberra, reducing our costs to our shires and our carbon output. But we also obviously got to talk in that long trip as well, which is always really grateful. The ability to share experiences and how people do things differently in different shires, and a fellow small shire in our region. We got to to share how we do things, and that's always really beneficial. The events of the conference were always really interesting. I also obviously took the opportunity to make appointments with multiple members of Parliament, both government and opposition, as well as independent member for Indi, Helen Haynes, who was incredibly helpful in assisting me gain those meetings, but also continuing our advocacy with her around the projects that she so generously advocates for on our behalf. And I also would like to thank Sam Birrell, the member for Nichols, who also hosted me at Parliament House and equally assisted me in accessing opposition members of Parliament to discuss the issues and what needs we have in Strathbogie Shire. I certainly raised roads, and I certainly raised bridges, especially Kerwin's Bridge. So it's really great to see that earlier report in the agenda papers this evening, which looks at a federal government funding. So hopefully when it does make it across people's desks, they're familiar with it and know it is a really important project for Strathbogie Shire and for our community. So there is a recommendation, I believe, on page. Is there a recommendation? Yes, there's a motion. It's just not blue in the papers. I'm used to seeing it blue. There's a motion, a recommendation, or on page 111 of the agenda papers this evening. And if you have any questions, you can ask me. No questions? Okay. It's to note my report. The motion is that council note the report from Councillor Laura Binks from her attendance at the Australian Local Government Association 2023 National General Assembly, Our Communities, Our Future Canberra, 13th to the 16th of June, including the Australian Council of Local Government Forum. Don't have to.
In Canberra, and initially I she got the parks, photograph of the.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Weatherold. Is there a seconder? Yes.
Can I ask a point of order? Is this notice of motion moved by you, Laura? Or
doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be? Okay. All right. That's all right.
Yep. I just asked for its inclusion in the agenda. You moved it,
yeah.
And I believe Councillor Rayburn was willing to second it. Great. Yep. And do you want to speak to it again? You already have in your movement of it. Yeah. Would you like to? Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Rayburn?
All I'd like to just say is that once again, Mayor, you advocate for the Shire at every opportunity, wherever you go, and I have had whispers from people that you just absolutely blow people away with your knowledge and your ability to be able to recite stuff to people at a click of a switch. It just seems like you've got a tape recorder stuck there somewhere, and it just comes out. And
starting to lay on.
Well, I'm only going by what other mayors have told me on other times, but yeah, so I really congratulate you on being up there for representing us.
Thank you, Councillor Rayburn. Did anyone else want to speak to the motion?
So my thanks as well for representing us so well and professionally at those events.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Haysbrook. So I'll put the motion to a vote. Can I see a show of hands for all those in favour, please? And against, and the motion is carried unanimously. Okay, we move to, are there any notices of rescissions, urgent business, confidential business to deal with this evening, CEO Salomon?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. No, none of the above.
Okay, that being so, I can let you know that the next monthly meeting of Strathbogie Shire Council is scheduled to be held on Tuesday, the 19th of September 2023 at the Euro Community Conference Centre, commencing at 6 p.m. There being no further business.
Before you close the meeting, Madam Mayor, before you close the meeting, I would like to acknowledge that there was a notice of motion which Councillor Ridge attempted to put on the table, and that was out of order.
I think I'm calling a point of order because there's an irregularity of business here, according to our governance rules.
It's I'm just putting it on the record that a councillor did attempt to move it, and he was unfortunately a couple of hours out. A bit sad. Thank you.
It was more than, there were more matters concerning that, but yes, the councillor isn't present with us this evening either. Thank you. So there being no further business, I declare the meeting closed at 8:21 p.m.